Please subscribe the channel and hit the like button. Luhansk Oblast. Russian forces continued offensive operations along the Kupiansk-Svidov line on July 5. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian assaults south of Novoselivsk, 15 kilometers northwest of Svidov, west of Novovodiyne, 17 kilometers southwest of Svidov, and on Novoyahivka, 16 kilometers southwest of Svidov. 36 A Kremlin-affiliated source claimed that Russian forces cleared a depot and an industrial zone in the southwestern part of Novoselivsk and established positions on two unspecified streets in the settlement. The source claimed that Russian forces are continuing to fight for control over Novoselivsk. Geolocated footage published on July 5 shows Ukrainian forces striking Russian forces just north of Novoselivsk along the N26 highway. Another Kremlin-affiliated source claimed that Russian forces attacked the Novoselivsk and Novovodiyne areas. Russian and Ukrainian forces continued to engage in combat around Kreminna on July 5. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian forces unsuccessfully attacked Ukrainian positions south of Dubrova, 4 kilometers southwest of Kreminna. The Russian Ministry of Defense, MOD, claimed that the Russian Central Group of Forces repelled Ukrainian advances on Berkhivka, 22 kilometers northwest of Kreminna, and Dubrova, and that Russian forces repelled two Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups near Serebryanka, 11 kilometers southwest of Kreminna and likely referring to the Serebryansk forest area, and Torsk, 13 kilometers west of Kreminna. A Kremlin-affiliated source claimed that Russian forces attacked the Serebryansk forest area towards Hromov, 10 kilometers south of Kreminna, and in the direction of Yampol, 18 kilometers southwest of Kreminna. A Russian mill blogger claimed that Ukrainian forces attempted two unsuccessful breakthroughs near Berkhivka and that Russian artillery units repelled a Ukrainian advance on Russian positions near Dubrova. Another Russian mill blogger claimed that unspecified elements of the Russian airborne forces repelled Ukrainian assaults on the Torsk salient. Donetsk Oblast. Ukrainian forces conducted successful offensive operations in the Bakhmut area on July 5. Geolocated footage posted on July 5 shows that Ukrainian forces have advanced southwest of Berkhivka, 6 kilometers northwest of Bakhmut, west of Yahidne, 2 kilometers north of Bakhmut, and southwest of Bakhmut. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian attacks near Bodanivka, 5 kilometers northwest of Bakhmut, Orekhovo-Vasilivka, 11 kilometers northwest of Bakhmut, and south of Berkhivka. The General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces continue to conduct offensive operations to the north and south of Bakhmut city and have entrenched themselves in new positions. Ukrainian Ground Forces Commander Colonel General Oleksandr Syrsky stated that Ukrainian forces are storming Russian positions on the northern approaches of Bakhmut and have recaptured unspecified areas. Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Malyar stated that Ukrainian forces are advancing in an unspecified area on Bakhmut's southern flank and that it is difficult for Russian forces to maneuver within Bakhmut. Russian mill bloggers reported that Ukrainian forces liberated an important height near Lyman, 7 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, but have not liberated the settlement itself. One mill blogger claimed that the settlement of Lyman, which is still under Russian control, is not as important as the heights in and around the settlement. Another mill blogger claimed that it is pointless to hold Lyman and additional territory up to the Bakhmutka River without control of the heights that surround it. Former Donetsk People's Republic, DNR, First Deputy Information Minister Daniil Besanov claimed that Ukrainian forces have conducted an average of 20 unsuccessful attacks against Russian positions per day over the course of 4 days in the Lyman area. A prominent Kremlin-linked mill blogger refuted another Russian report that Russian forces had withdrawn from Lyman, instead claiming that some Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups only gained a foothold in Lyman. Several mill bloggers claimed that elements of the Russian 72nd Motorized Rifle Brigade, 3rd Army Corps, and Storm Z detachments are operating in the Lyman area. ISW previously reported that Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin accused the 72nd Motorized Rifle Brigade of abandoning a strategic position in Bakhmut, which resulted in 500 Wagner casualties, and that Storm Z detachments received a remarkably short amount of time for training before being deployed. Russian and Ukrainian forces continued ground attacks along the Avdiivka-Donetsk City line on July 5. Geolocated footage posted on July 5 shows that Ukrainian forces have advanced west of Vasil, 6 kilometers north of Avdiivka. The Ukrainian General Staff claimed that Ukrainian forces defended against Russian offensive operations in the Avdiivka and Marinka areas. Malyar also stated that Russian forces attacked in the Avdiivka and Marinka directions but did not advance. Ukrainian Tavriysk Group of Forces spokesperson Captain Valery Shershen stated that Russian forces carried out 17 unsuccessful assaults in the Marinka direction. Shershen noted that Russian forces previously used meat grinder assaults but have recently started using small groups of 8 to 10 people to attack. Shershen suggested that Russian forces are starting to run out of personnel to expend in larger attacks and are also trying to protect equipment. Ukrainian MP Yuriy Mysyagin claimed that Ukrainian forces established a new position north of Opytne, 6 kilometers northwest of the outskirts of Donetsk City, after pushing Russian forces from these positions. The Russian MOD claimed that the Russian Southern Group of Forces repelled 9 Ukrainian attacks near Pervomisk, 11 kilometers southwest of Avdiivka, Severn, 6 kilometers west of Avdiivka, Nevelsk, 14 kilometers southwest of Avdiivka, and Krasnohoivka, 22 kilometers southwest of Avdiivka, in Donetsk Oblast. A Russian mill blogger claimed that elements of the Chechen Severokomand Regiment, part of the 78th Special Purpose Motorized Rifle Regiment, 42nd Guards Motorized Rifle Division, 58th Combined Arms Army, Southern Military District, are operating in Marinka. Zaporizhia. Russian and Ukrainian forces did not conduct any confirmed ground attacks in western Donetsk Oblast on July 5. Footage posted on July 4 shows elements of the Russian 155th Naval Infantry Brigade, Pacific Fleet, and 39th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade, 68th Army Corps, Eastern Military District, storming Ukrainian positions near Mikhailsk, 3 kilometers southeast of Volodar. ISW has recently observed artillery elements of the 39th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade operating on the western outskirts of Donetsk City near Marinka. Ukrainian forces continued ground attacks in the western Donetsk Oblast eastern Zaporizhia Oblast border area on July 5. The Russian MOD claimed that Russian forces repelled small Ukrainian ground attacks near Staromorsk and Urozhain, both about 8 kilometers south of Velika Novozilka. A Russian mill blogger claimed that Ukrainian forces also attacked near Opytne, 14 kilometers southwest of Velika Novozilka, and that Russian forces attacked near Rivnopile, 8 kilometers southwest of Velika Novozilka. Ukrainian officials acknowledged continued Ukrainian counteroffensive operations in the Donetsk-Zaporizhia Oblast's border area. Geolocated footage dated July 3 shows burning Russian armor north of Opytne. It is unclear whether Ukrainian forces hold the village, however. Ukrainian forces continued to conduct ground attacks in western Zaporizhia Oblast on July 5. The Russian MOD claimed on July 5 that Russian forces repelled a Ukrainian ground attack near Jerbyanki, 26 kilometers southwest of Orikhiv. Russian sources continued to claim that small Ukrainian assault groups attacked Robotyne, Nestoryanka, and Kopany, all within 7 to 12 kilometers south of Orikhiv. Former Russian officer and ardent nationalist Igor Girkin claimed that Ukrainian forces continued attacks but did not advance in western Zaporizhia Oblast. Geolocated footage shows that Russian forces have advanced to positions immediately south of Pyatkivka, 25 kilometers southwest of Orikhiv, as of July 4. A Ukrainian official confirmed that Ukrainian forces maintain positions in the east, left, bank of Kherson Oblast. Ukrainian Southern Group of Forces spokesperson Natalia Humaniuk stated that Russian forces conduct reconnaissance against existing Ukrainian positions in an unspecified area of the east bank of Kherson Oblast using small sabotage and reconnaissance groups on boats. Humaniuk also stated that Russian forces recaptured former positions in the east bank of Kherson Oblast that Russian forces lost due to flooding from the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, KHPP, dam destruction. Russian mill bloggers claimed that Russian forces continue efforts to push Ukrainian forces from their positions on the east bank near the Antonovsky Bridge. The mill bloggers additionally claimed that Ukrainian forces managed to transfer two small groups of reinforcements from the west, right, bank to the east bank and that Russian forces are increasingly using airstrikes against the Ukrainian positions. Some mill bloggers continued to criticize the Russian military command for continuing to impale Russian infantry against Ukrainian East Bank positions despite sustaining high losses and despite the lack of threat to broader Russian positions in East Bank Kherson Oblast posed by limited Ukrainian positions on the East Bank. Russian sources indicated that elements of the Russian 126th Coastal Defense Brigade, 22nd Army Corps, Black Sea Fleet, and 205th Motorized Rifle Brigade, 49th Combined Arms Army, Southern Military District, are conducting reconnaissance against and striking Ukrainian forces in the area. Russian occupation authorities claim to have resolved the severe traffic jams to the Kerch Strait Bridge on July 5 following 4 days of severe issues. Crimean Occupation Transportation Minister Mikhail Lukashenko claimed that there were no traffic jams at either the Kerch or Taman entrance to the Kerch Strait Bridge as of midday on July 5. Russian President Vladimir Putin instructed Russian authorities on July 4 to increase the use of ferry crossings and even allocate Russian MOD resources to resolving the Kerch Strait Bridge traffic issues. It is unclear to what extent the Russian occupation authorities will be able to mitigate traffic issues along this critical logistics line given the continued promotion of occupied Crimea as a tourist destination for Russian civilians.